All right, y'all, listening out there to this week's episode of Chasing Birdies. Welcome back. What is up, JP?
Dude, it's been a debacle of a day. So, spilled water on my laptop, coming to you live from the car with some headphones and my phone. Got to get a new laptop because the water spilled into the laptop. It's a mess. It's a debacle, and I'm not real happy right now. So, what's up, guys? Last episode of the year, man.
I know. Isn't that something? We did it.
So, Merry Christmas to everyone and a happy, healthy New Year. We wish you guys nothing but the best. And thank you again for supporting, listening, not doing anything with our social media. We appreciate you liking. If you don't like, we know you're looking, whatever. But we appreciate it all. And thank you, guys. And let's have a killer 2024.
That's right now. That's right. Well, first off, you better get a new computer, bud, because I don't know if I could listen to you talk like this into the new year. I mean,
I'm getting new one. So
spilled the water. So how'd that happen? I watched it happen. I saw it happen, and then you started blowing in the mic, and you blew my eardrums out.
Yeah. Well, I was trying to dry it off, and then a little too late. Got a little excited for today's guest, and knocked the old mug over full of water into the Christmas gifts, into everything. So.
Yeah, it's a bad Monday. I know. I feel you, dude. I feel you. Well, we do today on Chasing Birdies. It's just another guy chasing birdies in life, and that guy's Andrew Redvanly. Now, if you guys have listened to the show recently, we've been talking a little more about Redvanly and their clothes. And Pep, I mean, what do you say?
It's incredible. The clothes are awesome. This episode is brought to you by Redvanly, so go check them out at redvanly.com. But we have the founder, Andrew Redvanly, on today's episode talking about where the idea came from and where they're going in the future. Yeah,
pretty good stuff getting into that. But I want to tell you something, and I know you know this. I had a fabulous dinner with you and B-Cats last week. Cracked a couple bottles of wine, and then I started feeling a little weird, man, and broke out in shingles. I know you know, but for people out there who haven't had shingles in their lifetime, I don't recommend it. It's a little bit irritating. You know, you kind of just don't want to touch yourself anymore, which, we can't have that. It's like your skin's a little sensitive, you're feeling a little weird. Getting over shingles, had a root canal done 2 days after that. So that it's been a little bit of a rough stretch the last week and a half, bud. But
shingles is from stress, my man.
Yeah, that makes sense. It makes sense. But how about you? Your last week, you been good?
Everything's been good. Yeah, a couple times. After this episode goes off, we're gonna be on a bird to heading south to Florida for a couple days. With B-Cats, Old Memorial, Pelican, and some par 3 course probably. But I'm looking forward to it, my man. I'm really looking forward to getting into the sun, smoke some cigars with the boys, some friends, have some drinks, and then turn right back around the next day. So.
Yep, that's right. 25 hours. If you're not taking advantage of the winter right now, get your grips changed. We're in the process of doing that. Get the old clubs cleaned up a little bit. Get you some new wedges. SM10s are coming out here at some point.
That's what I'm hearing.
So yeah, it's a good time to do some things like that. But I want to hear this story from Andrew Redvanly here on Chasing Birdies. So what do you say we just roll it on over to him?
Let's roll.
We are back this week on Chasing Birdies, and today's guest knows a thing or two about fashion, modern fashion, athletic fashion, golf, tie it all together. Andrew Redvanly is joining us today, the Redvanly brand, here on Chasing Birdies. My man, thanks so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. I appreciate it.
Yeah, no, it's always good to have people, when Jonathan and I, sometimes we do banner sessions, it's just the two of us, but it's always good to have a guest, number one. And number two, it's always good to have a guest who is chasing birdies in life, my friend, and that is what you're doing right now. So hats off, man. It looks like
I mean, and that's
Well,
the
we'll
thing,
get into all that jazz.
Well, the good
but,
thing too is that he's our age.
yeah,
38
I'm excited
years
for this
old.
one.
I mean, you're what, Bash? 37. I'm 37. I look 55. So it all comes together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I have to say,
you know what? You don't have to.
Andrew, I was before we get into your story, I was in Chicago late November, early December, and I had a Redvanly vest on, and I was walking around downtown Chicago, and this guy, I mean, he was higher than a giraffe's ass, but he comes over to me and says, "Dude, is that Redvanly?" I said, "It is." He said, "I went to school with Andrew." And I think if I would have asked him his name, he probably would have known his own name. That's how stoned he was. But apparently you guys went to school, so he thought it was really cool to see your brand out there in Chicago.
Sounds about right, yeah. That's interesting, yeah. I'm curious on who that might be. I got a few people, but I got to start to think about it. Chicago.
So where are you right now? Are you in New York?
I'm at my apartment in Jersey City.
Yeah, he's probably about
that's kind of
pitching wedge for you away from Manhattan. For one to get into the clothing business, tell us a little bit about how you got to Redvanly clothes, being in 2,000 plus country clubs, being seen on the Live Tour. I mean, it's pretty cool just to see that. And as a 38-year-old, where did it all start? Did you always want to get into fashion? What was that like?
No, actually, I wanted to be on the sports side of things. I wanted to be a sports agent. So I kind of went down that whole road of, tons of, internships, worked at the NHL for a little bit, kind of networked my ass off in like college. And then I kind of got to a point where I was like, I don't know if I really want to do this. It was just one of those places where you're like, so I didn't really know what I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something in sports, and I kind of wanted to run my own ship at some point. So this kind of idea, it didn't just kind of happen. It was very like, I think when you try to start something, you want to find something that like nobody else is doing, right? Because you want to like, you believe in yourself, but you kind of like are like, I don't know if I do. So I wanted to start like a sock subscription company because I thought nobody was doing that. And then I was like, oh, maybe I can do underwear. And then before you know it, you're like, dude, if you're going to do this, you got to do it. Like, you actually have to build a brand. And so, yeah, it was something that I had no background in at all. It was just 2009, the recession was going on, and there was no jobs. So I said, screw it. I'm going to caddy. Like, I would caddy it all through. Yeah, and yeah, it's absolutely insane. If anybody else said they were going to do this, I'd be like, dude, don't do it. It's, I don't know. It kind of worked out where it was something that I feel like I fell into in a weird way that you're like, shit, this is kind of maybe what I was kind of built to do. And not necessarily just because of the fashion of it, but I think because of the brand. I think that's where I kind of like feel really confident is like building a brand. It's not about like, hey, like, I like clothes and I feel like I have a good eye, but I think the brand aspect is the key thing of like why we've gotten to where we've gotten to.
What was the first thing that you made? Like in your mind, you're getting ready to launch this company. Like, what was it? Shirt? Was it shorts, pants, socks? What was it?
We had 3 men's polos, and they were all white based. And we had one that had a stripe on it. Another one had like a cool little color block, and the third one, geez, I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, and the third one was another little cool like stripe thing, right? And we only did white shirts because we didn't have enough minimums to make other colors. So we just got, it was like one of those things where we're like, all right, we're going to make this the white collection because that's all we can do. And there was the smallest, collection. It was crazy, man. Like I was walking around trying to get into thrift shops and stuff, and they're like, where's the rest of it? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, this is it. This is it. These 3 shirts. I'm like, it's the quickest meeting ever. Yes or no,
So was that in 2000? What year was that? 2009?
No, that was 2013 when I started. Because it took 2009, I graduated. 2010, kind of was like trying to figure out what I wanted to do, working all these little jobs. And then I said, I'm going to do this. And maybe like 2011 took 2 years to get to the point where I did like, the 3 shirts.
So 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks, dude.
Because apparel in general, like that's got to be a tough one to crack into. Because you got to figure out what's your differentiating factor, the whole 9 yards, all that. But, it's one of those things where when you have an idea or a vision, you kind of see the path. You gotta believe in it first, you yourself, and then you just attack. And that sounds like kind of what went on there. But I mean, growing pains though, like when did you experience some, because I mean, you're in Nordstrom now, you're, whatever. But when did you really feel like this thing was taking off?
I'd say about like maybe 4 years ago, 3.5 years. It was kind of like that
COVID,
that moment where you're like, yeah, it was kind of, and it's funny because, people, it was actually really scary too, but I think it really didn't have anything to do with, when I look at it now, with or without COVID. I just think it was the time kind of hit where I think we knew enough about the industry. I was getting better at kind of, building out product lines and kind of like from our factories to, our end user. And I think we started to catch on a little bit. I think I saw it where I was like, oh, we're having success in terms of people reordering, people are liking it, people are saying you got a great product. I think it took 4 or 5 years to kind of get to that point where we perfected something. And then once we got to that point, I think we had enough relationships, connections, we were in enough shops, and it was starting to kind of be like, oh, I think we can do this, and I think we're going to make it. So it was kind of like that moment, I'd say. And then honestly, COVID happened, was scary. All of our orders were canceled. So we were like trying to scramble, and then eventually, it was, COVID became good for golf later. But, looking back at it, I think it was just more or less like, hey, like you had a good product and people started to like the brand. And then from there kind of just, picked up.
It's crazy because that golf world, the clothing golf world, is so competitive, man. You got your Peter Millar, you got your Grayson, you got your Redvanly, you got Donald Ross. I mean, there's a million people trying to make it, so to say. So for you to carve out a little niche, which I think that Redvanly did carve out a little niche of athletic, forward-thinking gear. And one of the products that I think that you're most known for is the shorts. Any of the bottoms are elastic pull-ons. How did you guys get to that point? Because that's like one of the easy. You think about it. It's like, that's so easy. Why didn't anybody else think about this? So where did you find that?
Yeah, we. I remember sitting there because at a certain point, we only did tops. So like I told you guys, start with tops, and we kept growing it, more tops, and then quarter zips, and we had a lot of tops. And at a certain point, you got to complete the ensemble, right? Like you got to have bottoms so people can wear your clothes, whether you have athletes wearing it, pros, or just anybody, you need to have it. The scary thing though is when you start thinking about bottoms, you have so many different sizes. And, at the point, we were still pretty small, and to invest that much into, imagine just like, say, Navy shorts, and you're like, well, we need 28 through 46. And then you're like, well, I at least need like 100 of each. I mean, just even if you did that, which is like tiny amounts, you're at, thousands and thousands of pairs on one SKU. And what happens when, no 37 sell and whatever, right? So I tried to come up with a way that, we could do it alpha sized. And then I was like, well, then I'd feel more comfortable about this whole thing. And if we can pull it off, nobody's doing it, right? So it's kind of like this double-edged sword of, wait, we're an athletic wear company. This really hits with what we talk about, like doing something nobody else has done. It's more comfortable. And for both parties, people selling it and people like, selling it to wholesalers or, people, it's very easy to kind of convince them that this is something interesting. And that's kind of what happened. But it was basically because we were scared about all the inventory and kind of getting into a world that, like you mentioned, Peter Millar, and what makes your short better than Peter Millar's, right? If you go into a shop and you're trying to sell it, or a guy sitting there going, same thing, I'm going to go with these guys. I know their product. So this was finally something like, wait, you got to try this. Nobody's doing it. And I think someone told me a long time ago, which boggled my mind, that was like super successful in the fashion world. They were like, you just got to have one product that like basically makes your business and your company. And it's got to be unique. It's got to be different. And if you have that, you'll be successful. I'm sitting there going, what the, like, what on earth am I gonna make? Like, it's clothing, like what? And we got lucky. We got
Reinvent the
lucky
wheel?
with everyone always goes, oh, this is your idea to start the business. And I'm like, it should have been, right? I should have had this idea, and then it would have been a pretty good idea to be like, hey, this is a great way to start. And then, but I think because you did it backwards, you kind of fell into some stuff that I think was pretty cool.
I can attest to the quality of the apparel that Redvanly makes, and it's telling that you are athletic, geared towards athleticism and athletic people. And for one who is not that athletic like Pep, it still looks great on him. Like, it's awesome. So that is a testament to the quality and what you guys are doing. It's good stuff.
My only concern is when I start lighting cigars up, those things, I might light up and fire, boys. I mean, those things are so comfortable, but I'm telling you, first ash that goes through my shorts, and I've been known to do that a time or two, we might have issues, Andrew.
Well, listen, we'll put it into the feedback chart and see what we can do.
But that's, what you said, kind of how you start backwards with the things, and then if you would have thought of the shorts first, blah, blah, blah. But honestly, that's how it goes, man. It's like now you have a nucleus, so to speak, and then you have extensions from that, and then once people start to realize the value in the brand, and you put out a puffer vest, like I have one of those, like you can start doing some other things that may not have been what you initially wanted to do, but now people are going to drink the Kool-Aid because they know the quality's there. Does that make sense?
For sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think it's important to focus on whatever you can to get somebody into your product, right? It's like icebreakers. Get them in. And then if your other stuff's great, eventually that guy is going to start to say, this is convenience too, right? Like, I love these guys. I start trusting their product. And that's what happens with any great brand. And then you just start to go to them for almost everything because it solves your problem, right? You're just like, I need great clothes, or maybe it's hats, or whatever it is that you're buying. Once you get, guys are a little bit easy. They're harder to break into because once they find their brand, they're kind of like, hey, I got these 5 brands, I'm good. But if you can break in, now they're shopping with you all the time. So I think you're right. You gotta have that icebreaker.
Do you wear anything other than Redvanly?
Oh, for sure. Actually, I do. It's funny. A lot of people, when they first meet me or whatever, they're like, is that yours? Is that? I'm like, no. Like, I usually have something of mine on. Honestly, it's the bottoms a lot because they are so comfortable and it's just a core item, so you can just rock them with anything. But like, I'm not constantly wearing my stuff in your face. I think it's a little bit of two things, right? Like, I just don't want to be that guy that's just dripped in my stuff. And also, it's like, I like to wear other people's stuff too. It's like, I think there's different brands and different vibes for different things. So, I think it does take people back a little bit when they're like, why aren't you wearing your stuff? I'm like, I am. But it's not every day that I just go into my closet like it's my store.
Right.
You could just tell them that you're trying out your new underwear line. They'll never know.
Yeah.
Get that on.
Exactly.
Well, you'll save a few pairs because Ryan doesn't wear underwear, so you don't have to send him any.
That's true. So like me, so here's the deal. Like, I love like the aesthetics of what you guys are putting out. And I'm not that familiar. Like, honestly, this year is when I really started paying more attention to your brand. It's just the facts. It's not a bad thing. I just was not, I think Jonathan and I were playing golf. I don't know if it was at Oakmont or somewhere, and JB, I think, had a pair of the shorts on. Mm-hmm. And then I was down at the Live tournament at the Greenbrier, and a buddy of mine, he had Mawson, he had the shorts on, and he's like, you got to try these Redvanlys out. And then naturally, our relationship started to somehow come together. But I was never a Millar guy by any stretch because I'm not like classic. Link Soul is probably the most golf brand that I would wear the most of, just because of the relationship with the family, and I do genuinely love their products. And then for a good golf shirt, I liked Grayson. I like that athletic fit, but yours fit equally or better than those Grayson cuts, in my opinion. So I'm all about it now. It's like I got the, and the packaging, dude, your packaging is great. Comes like in a nice little zip bag.
Yeah.
I mean, that's fresh, dude. I love it.
Thanks, my man. No, I appreciate it. And I think it's cool. I mean, I think it's good to get I like, we're still like in this really nice growth phase, and I think a lot of people are starting to come into the brand, and you got half the people that like know it or loved it for years, and guys that are coming into it. And I think it's super important because I think anytime you get to a point where almost like everybody's on it, it can get a little scary because that means like you're one kind of step away from people, even if your product's great, you're kind of sitting there going, wait, you want to be in the know, right? With a brand, you want to be kind of like, hey, let me tell you about this brand. And when everyone's like, dude, I know that, like I got 14 pair, certain guys are going to sit there and go, all right, like this is too kind of mainstream. Right. And I want to start going back to things that are a little bit, and either brands do that by exclusivity, by price, right, where it's like you just can't afford it, or you gotta know when to kind of like keep your brand at a certain level, and sometimes that might be taking dollars kind of off the table, and saying this is better for the brand long term, as opposed to, hey, this looks great for my bottom line this year right now. Does it come back to hurt a little bit later when guys are like, I used to like you when you never want that situation to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know what you're saying.
Are you originally from New York?
I'm from northern New Jersey. So kind of like
Jersey,
right
okay.
if you, yeah.
And always been a Rangers fan, huh? Big hockey guy.
Yeah, so basically most of like northern New Jersey, if you weren't new to the area, usually your parents were all like New York teams because there was no New Jersey teams. So, New York City being like 15 miles down the road, everybody was like, Giants, Rangers, usually Knicks, and Yankees. And then all the Long Island people are usually Mets, Jets, Islanders, and Knicks would be the crossover team.
Right. The Rangers are looking really good this year.
Yeah.
So here's the hope. It's a big year for the boys over there.
I know, man. I do too. I think it just comes down to the playoffs, right? Like I think the regular season, they're rocking, like, and everyone knows that they're going to get there. It just comes down to those, like, can we get the G's when we need them in the playoffs? Because got the goalie, right? Like you're kind of set up there. It just, last year, right? Like, the Devils just outscored us. And I think that's kind of like that, I think we're one forward away in my opinion. They get another guy that can get 40 goals, like, so when you get into that situation, you're not depending on, like if Mika doesn't score for 2 games, or, if Kreider, it's like, and then you're in that situation where you're depending on.
Well, our boy Vinny Trocheck's having a hell of a year. I mean, he just scored a game winner against Boston and
at both of them,
that
right?
game. The guy's looking pretty good. I don't want to tell him that too much because he gets a big head, but
no, Vinny's great, and I think he's a guy that is, super, super solid in how you can build and win a, he's a guy that, like, maybe he doesn't get the accolades as like a Mika or a Panarin, but like those are the guys that you need to have to win championships, right? They can score, and play solid D, win faceoff. So Vinny's doing a hell of a job.
So here's the hope into the Rangers. Successful year. The boys will be in New York celebrating with Andrew Redvanly. Hopefully my man's keeping his clothes on in this party celebration. So
that'd be a crazy parade.
It must be nice to have like good teams to root for. Like we used to. Like we used to have good teams. I mean, our teams just fucking suck. Like the Steelers are an absolute mess right now. I mean, I know the Jets got off to a little bad start because of Rodgers going down and blah, blah, blah. Which I don't even know if you're a Jets fan, but
no, yeah, but you guys, I mean, the Penguins. I mean, how many cups do you guys have? We have 4 in 100 years. I mean, it's
we have 5.
But that's the thing, like
50.
Since 92, we have 5. 91 since 91, we have 5. So that's pretty good.
Yeah,
32 years.
Well, I think we have 4.
People talk about like us as a Steelers fan, which I'm embarrassed to say I am, but I am. That's what everyone always says is like, oh, you guys are always you got a great coach. You guys always win, blah, blah. Dude, it's not about always having a above 500 record. It's like we have talent and everything gets freaking wasted. I don't give a shit if we're, above 500. If we're not winning games or even making the playoffs, it's boring. It's like playoff football is so much fun to watch, and then our team's on the sideline. But who am I to talk? I'm not a coach. I definitely am not. I ran one play of football my whole life, midget league, 45 scissors, hit the hole, and my pants fell down because my waist was so small. I had to use hockey tape to duct tape my pants the rest of the year. So that was and then the next time I got hit and fumbled, so the coach never put me in. But I did.
Legendary. They need you now. They need you now, dude.
Well, talk about hitting the hole. I understand that Sonoma, California, there was a little bit of getting you were locked out of a hotel room. You want to tell us about that?
Yeah, I think my buddy Jim, who now works with us. This is prior to us working. I probably shouldn't have hired him after the story, but we were at a buddy's. We're at a buddy's. So Jim, who is a buddy of mine, he was freaking out because my buddy is getting married to Sonoma, and he puts this. He's like, everyone's staying at this Best Western. And Jim's like one of these guys where he's like, dude, I don't stay in Best Westerns. Da, da, da. I'm like, dude,
he's too good for it, right?
I'm like, dude, it's yeah. Like he's like, dude, what's the story? I'm like, dude, it's fine. You know what I mean? So we go to. And I'm telling this story because it actually kind of backfired at the end. And it was a nice little hotel. It's in Sonoma, right? It's like cute, whatever. So Jim likes to party, just like everybody, but he can go to another level. And he was in the wedding. So when I showed up, he's standing, he's one of the groomsmen. He's already like, I mean, he's been drinking since 8 a.m. I'm like, I don't know if he's going to make it through this wedding. So meanwhile, he doesn't, like, we finish up the wedding. I get him back to the hotel and there's like an after party thing, right? Down in the town. So he's like, dude, I'm going to take a nap for 10 minutes. I'm going to meet you down there. And obviously he instantly, passes out. I go down there. Now I'm coming back, like, an hour later. Coming back, get to the hotel, key card, boom, open the door, and the chain's on the door. And I'm like, is this kid fucking kidding me? Why is a chain on the door? And so now there's nobody at this hotel. It's Best Western, like it's Sonoma, California. There's nobody there. Can't get in. So I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? It's like 2 a.m, right? So I'm like, all right, I got to just kick this door down. And I stupidly kicked the center of the door, like thinking that was like the move, almost broke my toe. And then I finally realized you got to kick at the actual chain. Almost tore my hamstring out, ripped. So the chain rips through the entire room and hits the back wall. And it was the loudest noise ever in the world. Door kicks open like in a CSI thing, and he's just, sleeping like a baby right there. Wake up the next morning. I'm like, dude, what's up with the chain thing? I'm like, you were blacked out. And he's just like, I don't know. I think I just wake up and chain wherever he is. So he's staying at my place 2 weeks ago, and I open my door back up, and he's got the chain in my apartment building.
My man's paranoid.
Like a thing. I'm like, dude, does someone out for you, dude? What's the story here? But my foot is still not the same. I'm not kidding around. My toe is still fucked up.
My man locks doors everywhere he goes.
Does he like whips too? I mean, he likes chains. What about whips?
Something's going on. We got to get into that with a shrinker. There's got to be a reason.
We got to figure that out. That's a problem, but yeah, that's kind of funny.
Well, I'm excited to see in person
because I don't know how people get
because
blacked out though.
Yeah, I mean,
I don't know how people get blacked out.
You don't get blacked out very often. I do though.
I never do. I don't even get drunk.
I don't think I've ever seen you blacked out.
No, you won't.
I'm the same. I feel like my problem is once I start eating, it's over. Like I can drink a bunch of beers and whatever, and then once the food kind of comes in, it just sobers me up, and then I'm not going to get started again. So it's just I get to a certain point, and then I'm like,
I'm done.
This is enough. But but some guys, they can just power, like Jim powers through the food. It's like, you kidding me? Just kind of fuels.
He doesn't eat it. He drinks it. I can't wait to see Jim in action at Nemacolin. I mean, the Chasing Birdies 2, man. brought to you by Redvanly. So our man Andrew's playing in the 2-man, and so is Jim. So I can't wait to see. I hope Jim's not on my team because that could be an issue.
You guys would be a problem. Yeah.
So,
Do they? I don't know if Nemacolin had. They don't have chains on the doors though, so
he probably brings them with him.
Well, now if I see a chain, I'm gonna remove it before I leave the hotel.
That's funny.
So what about like looking forward? Are you gonna? Because right now you don't have any like retail locations, correct? You're all like direct to pro shop, direct to consumer. Are you DTC?
So we have our online store and then all the pro shops and retailers, and then we have one store that we opened this year in the West Village.
Oh, you did?
So yeah, so we did that, and it's been good. We're just trying to find out what the angle is. Do we want to do maybe have one in LA, have one in Miami, Chicago, like kind of like some pillars for brand presence and kind of just these like flagships. Mm-hmm. Or do we want to go a little bit further with it? I think there's pros and cons, right? Like I think, rent and, all these overhead charges, and it can be scary for a company, and if something goes wrong or another recession and you're on the hook for, there's negatives there. But then at the same time too, it is nice to have a third arm of your business touching customers. That's one thing that we were missing. We do a great job online, but you're still not actually like interacting, like you guys coming into the store and us presenting it the way we want to present it. Yeah. You go into a pro shop, half the time the presentation, is not great. So someone seeing your brand for the first time sloppy on a table or, not merchandised well, and it kind of bothers you a little bit. Now, listen, that's going to happen when you do sell to a lot of places, but it is nice to kind of have a place where people can see it the way you want to present it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I guess your approach to tour players, is that even something you're interested in? Or are you just more aimed towards like the recreational golfer?
I think
that's a whole other animal.
Yeah, it's a mix. I mean, we got a few guys right now. We had Denny McCarthy and Taylor Moore who had great years. We did some stuff with we got a couple live teams that we sponsor. We have about, I don't know, maybe, Jim handles all of our athletes, so he can actually speak to that better, but he's got about, I think, 8 or 9 new guys coming on board, like kind of rookie PGA Tour guys and some Korn Ferry guys, and we're working on a few other, PGA guys that I'm not sure if it went through or what the situation is, but yeah, it's definitely something that we think is important. I think that we're trying to blend everything in, though. We have a lot of different athletes, like guys like Vinny that wear the line. We're in a lot of different locker rooms, and I think pro athletes that wear our product that don't play professional golf is also a big angle for us. We want to show the world, like, hey, all your other favorite athletes, when they go out and play golf, tennis, workout, whatever, they're in our stuff. And I think that's a really great validation too. Like, who cares if, it's great if it's a professional golfer, but also it's great if it's another professional athlete that's saying, hey, this is what I rock, as well. So that's been kind of like a mixed angle for us.
I actually think the professional athlete that's not a golfer is a little bit cooler for people because it's just like, it's more relatable as a person, right? Like okay, they're a professional basketball player, but when they're on the golf course, they're comfortable in Redvanly and they're choosing to wear that, right? On the PGA Tour, it's almost like, hey, you have a deal with Redvanly, you have to wear this type thing. And I'm not saying that they don't believe in it or trust it or anything like that. What I'm saying is the other athletes and other celebrities wearing it are choosing to wear it out of everything else that they could have access to.
You're 100% true. I think it's like anybody that signs like whether it's a huge deal, right? Everybody kind of knows in the back of their heads, like like making example Steph with Under Armour, right? Like if you had to ask Steph, like, what would you wear? Like, would he really? It's like, and I'm not saying he would or wouldn't, but it's definitely in your mind, right? Like, hey, he just got like a $500 million deal over 10 years or whatever. It's pay to play. So I think, kind of taking the approach of, organically, what we want to do is see people say, holy shit, all these guys are rocking this stuff organically. it's got to be good. And I think that's what we're trying to chip away at. Just kind of slowly just keep chipping into you that like, this is the brand to go to if you want to, kind of be like the guys that you love, right? Or the guys that you trust, or the guys, this is what they're wearing. So like Jonathan said, I think that's exactly what we're trying to do.
It's a good approach.
If you need to put out a good beanie. I'm a beanie junkie. And
next up. No, we're working on it. So but keep going.
That's right. See, great minds think alike, man.
Go ahead. You put your design in, bud.
No, I don't. My sister she's 10 years older than I am. She's been in fashion her whole life. She went to Philadelphia College of Textiles and Science, which they changed the name of it, but she has been all over really the world working with people on fashion designs. And I always, naturally that's not anything that I wanted to do or do anything in that regard. But growing up, she always took care of me as her little brother, like made sure I had these coolest clothes and all that jazz. So there is a part of me that really values and respects fashion and what it is. But I'm also not one of those people that I don't wear it to, people wear things that t-shirt costs $600. They wear it because the name's on it and they make fucking $25,000 a year. It's like, I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that. I'm low key. I like to wear what I like. I like good things that fit well. But yeah, so I don't know what my whole point is of that spiel is, but
no, I get you.
That's awesome, man.
Fantastic.
Dude,
Thanks. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
I get you. I get that. I mean, I think it is kind of crazy, right? Like, I'll go out sometimes and I'll just check out brands, right? And I'll see what they're doing, and I'll see, because that's kind of part of my job. I want to see what other people are doing, whether it's in my like direct world of like direct competition, or whether it's like walking into, Neiman Marcus and seeing what, these guys are doing. And it is really interesting to see quality, fabrics, and then price, right? And you're looking at it, you're going, well, this shirt doesn't feel that great. And you're like, the price is like this $600 shirt.
Yeah.
And you're like, this is absurd. You're paying for, a label here.
Cotton shirt.
Like, exactly. Like, what are we doing? Now, if the shirt's really phenomenal and it's priced properly and then it's got the brand, yeah, you can see where that kind of can maybe fit in a little bit and say, all right, because you got to always do the math. Like, there's a lot of brands also charging a lot of money that have shit products too, right? Like, everyone's kind of like putting themselves up to here. And then how do you separate that, right? So the guys that have been there a long time just say, all right, fuck you, we're going to go up because we think the guy that's going to spend $200 will spend $350 on our product because of the brand, and just kind of like price cut some people a little bit, like on the opposite direction as opposed to going less.
Right.
Just kind of go higher and say, I'll pay an extra $100 to have that brand.
Yeah. Oh, that makes sense.
I gave Andrew a design.
So what about you guys?
I can't disclose on here, but I don't know. We'll see if it works out, boys.
Oh yeah, you got a few actually. I think you've sent me. You sent me a couple ideas.
That's probably before.
You see a shirt come out called the Pepe.
We got the Pepe.
Yeah, he's got a song idea.
Yeah. So I got all kinds of stuff in the works, boys. It's none of your business, but it'll be around. Stay tuned.
Oh man. Okay, so what were you saying? What about us? Like, what do we?
I mean, I love what you guys are doing. I want to know what the next steps are for you guys. It's dope to start and build, and like what you guys are doing is awesome. So, want to know kind of like what your plans are.
No, I appreciate that. Well, Pep, you want to allude to that, or you
go ahead,
say?
man. I'm on a delay over here. I'm all screwed up over here. So why don't you rip with it?
No, I think. Look, we started off to do this 2.5 years ago. It'll be 3 years in March. On just the idea of having fun with a podcast. We're both golf nuts. We love golf, and it just started as an idea in a garage, and never really had any type of. I don't want to say we didn't have goals. We definitely had goals. We wanted to do it right. We wanted to have the right production in place and make sure we had quality guests and whatnot. But at the end of the day, we never really limited ourselves or put pressure on ourselves to reach certain levels. But 3 years into it now, yeah, we're at the point now where, we have to continue doing what we've done with good guests, good content. And I think in today's world is what you could have a great podcast, but at the same time, you can also have good content outside of that on socials. And that, I think, is an area of growth for us, if I'm being honest, because I'm not one to really utilize social media to the extent of filming content or, posting photos. I haven't posted a photo on my own Instagram in 2 years, last July from Ireland.
That's an issue, but that's an issue.
I know. But that's where we, I think, want to grow in the 2024. But, the idea is still the same. It's getting good quality guests like yourself on the show, having good dialogue, and giving people something that they enjoy listening to. And that's what I love about podcasts, and I listen to them, is that you can listen to it at will. You're not going to miss the episode. You can listen to this episode a week after it comes out. You can go back and listen to it. Like, they're not going anywhere. And that's why podcasting is so great, in my opinion.
No, I think it is great. I think what you guys are doing is awesome. And I think, back to your point, have goals, but just just rip it, right? Because it's like, learn so much. And so far, I've listened to a bunch of your episodes. They're great. And I
appreciate it. Oh, I appreciate it. Yeah, it's fun. And to be honest with you, we both have full-time commitments. I'm in the oil and gas business. He's in the jewelry business. So there is a component of a responsibility involved with podcasting, to be diligent and get your shit done and get these things uploaded and blah, 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 blah. It's consuming.
I think the biggest thing when you're starting something and doing it is you got to just do it, because there's so many people out there that, it truly is half the battle is really what you guys are doing. There's so many people that go, hey, I want to do a podcast, but you know what? Yeah, I got a full-time job and so does Pep. And the next thing you know, it's we'll do it next year. And the next thing you know, it's if you started 2 years ago, can you imagine where you've been and now where you guys are? And you guys are on the path, right? That's the hardest thing to do, because 99% of people say I'll do it next year. And sure, you guys have competition. I have competition, but get in the game. And next thing you know, you've done it for 5 years, 6 years, you outlast your competition. That's half the battle. Now people are going these guys have been around for 8 years. I'm going to listen to them. They battled through, and I think that's huge. And I think if you just do that, same thing for me, you get better at it, right? Before you know it, you guys are better at what you do. I'm better at what I do, and so on and so forth, because you got into the game. You need minutes.
Yeah. I like that. That's true. I believe that too. Speaking of the game, how is your golf game? Do you play much golf?
Depends on the time of year. I'm right now a 5 handicap, and I can look a little bit better than that or a lot worse than that, depending on. So funny, dude. I have this crazy hockey swing, right? So I can kind of hit it long, right? But it's wild. So certain days people are damn, this dude's pretty good, and then other days they're dude, this guy's in the golf industry. This is fucking embarrassing. I'm just hitting the ball, off the planet. And so it is actually something that now I don't really care. But I remember a couple of years ago, I'm because I don't get to practice. I show up on the tee box. Literally, if it's a 9:50 tee time, I'm literally the last guy on the box ripping a swing, right out of the car. I got no time, right? So you can't practice. But I was taking it a little bit kind of shit, this is kind of I wish I wasn't in the golf industry when I'm playing golf, because then people are oh, that guy from the Redvanly guy? It's either it's yeah, he's pretty good, or he's fucking stinks, right? It's just one of those I'm is this bad for business if I have a bad day, right? So kind of interesting.
Well, I don't think I don't think it's a qualification to be good at golf or scratch, to create golf apparel.
No, you definitely not. But it's in your head a little bit, right? Just because I think there's certain things whether even if you're a pro golfer, right? At a country club, same thing. They go out with members, right? They're not playing, and all of a sudden they hit a few bad shots, and everyone's dude, this guy, he's our pro, he stinks. But it's he's also doing other stuff, he's not playing golf every day. Yeah,
right. Yep. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. And that's I have a golf podcast, but I'm not going to sit here and tell you the history of golf for all these people that won majors in the past. Pretty much during my life, you know, the big events and the players and whatnot. I know that, but like, I can't tell you shit about people in the 50s. I mean, some of them I can, but you know, it's like, I'm not that guy. I'm not a walking encyclopedia with respect to that. I have a podcast. I like to talk to people that are doing something in life, not sitting around making excuses for themselves. And that's what I like to do. And that's what we do today.
I love it.
And unfortunately, my podcast partner's MIA.
He had enough.
You know, yeah, I don't know where we lost him at the turn.
Yeah.
He spilled he spilled water all over his laptop this morning. He just texted me and said, my computer is crashing.
It's a Monday, man. Something's going to happen.
Yeah, it's a Monday. Well, generally speaking, at this point of the show, he does the tap-in segment, which you're familiar with. So I guess I'm going to be taking over his duties today.
Change it
without
up.
Pep. But this is the tap-in segment presented by Bettinardi Golf. Check him out online at bettinardi.com. Get you a good putter for the 2024 season, and get your game in tune. All right, first question here is, what is your favorite on-course music?
I'm gonna go with a good country jam list. I think I would. Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
I feel like that answer is not one that's popular. But
I don't know. Yeah, I've been seeing a lot. I've been like, I like all sorts of music, but I feel like there's like a vibe with it on the golf course, just enough to kind of like chill, you know.
Especially, yeah, I agree. All right, your favorite breed of dog?
Beagle.
Beagle. I have a beagle. I was under the impression that you might not be a dog fan, so that's why Pep threw that in there. But
okay.
But you like beagles. I like beagles.
I'm an animal guy. I'm an animal guy.
Yeah. Me too. What are you chasing?
I think the short answer to that is just to be the best like version of yourself, whether that's business, life, just in general, like every single day, chase that, right? Like how do you just get better, you know, all around. So I think I'm always kind of chasing that, like that kind of keeps me going. It's just, there's always just room for improvement, from being a better friend, person, you know, brother, whatever it is, whatever you are, whatever you have. I think those things, and then that kind of leads into like whatever you're doing with like your career or whatever gets you going, right? Like your hobbies, all that stuff.
So coming from New York, are you more of a New York pizza style guy, or are you more of a pasta guy?
I'm definitely a pizza guy for sure. Like I love pasta, but like pizza, I mean, it's one of those things where it's like I can eat it every single day. I mean, I try not to, you know, it's one of those spots where you're like literally I have like, when I like try to like go on a diet or whatever, the first thing is like just stop eating pizza. If you do that, it's like you're good, but it's so good. Last
one. What is your biggest fear in life?
Shit, man, we're getting deep.
That could be deep.
I think the biggest fear that I have is just probably, you know, looking back, right, and saying, like, did I do everything I wanted to? Was I the person I wanted to? Did people like me, right? Because I think people always talk about, like, oh, I don't care what other people think, right? That's bullshit. You live your life, like, it's like, you know, at your funeral, how many people are there for you, right? Like, it is about what people think. So I think that's my biggest fear, is like to making sure you don't lose track of that. And and just back to that first question, just, you know, if you do the first part of it, I think you'll get there and kind of look back and say, hey, I don't have too many regrets, right? And like, that's all you can ask for.
That's it. I think more people should take risks, chances, and do what their heart tells them to do, man. And live a life full of no regrets. I love it, man. Man, it was so good to connect with you, though. I look forward to meeting you.
Yeah, likewise.
Over here in Southwest PA. But keep doing what you're doing. I'm going to keep repping your gear. And we'll catch you on the links.
Yeah, you guys are the best. Likewise.
Thanks, Andrew.
Andrew Redvanly. That was awesome. Thank you to our dude for coming on. We really appreciate it. And again, go check them out at redvanly.com. Like all their gear is really nice. I know Bash is very particular about what he wears. He's kind of digging on it. Actually, he is digging on it a lot. And that's saying something, my man, because you're tough to deal with a little bit. But I loved hearing Andrew tell a story about how he created it and what a risk. You talk about chasing birdies. That's chasing him. He risked it.
Yeah, no, for sure. And it's kind of one of those things where when you start something, you don't really know where you're going to finish or what path you're going to get on. And that's kind of what it was. It was like, hey, here's 3 shirts. And then the extremities start growing from there. And I would love to see them open up a couple flagship stores. You know, he mentioned LA, Miami. That totally makes sense for their brand. So,
and I would have thought the shorts were the first thing, dude. Here, it wasn't. That just kind of fell into it. They were trying to eliminate some SKUs and some putting money up out of the gate, and they fell into these shorts. Yep. So that's awesome. And sorry about me. I was only part of the 70% of the interview because, as I mentioned in the intro, my computer kicked it, and the old mic stopped working, and I was out. So, Ryan, thank you for running the rest of the episode by yourself, my man. I'm sure you did wonderful.
I mean, I just didn't know what to do with these tap-in questions. Like, I wish I had a little more time to think about them, to ask some more questions. But I was going to ask him, is it colder on the farm or in the winter? That doesn't really have an answer. It's just kind of a trick question. But that's a good one, though. And winter's here, but get up to Nemacolin. They have indoor golf, indoor hitting bays, indoor bathtubs, great spa, great restaurants, great Christmas village right now.
Christmas spirit.
Yeah. But go up there anyhow, whether it's after the new year or late January, whatever. Check them out online at nemacolin.com, you people from New York or Florida or Virginia. Make the quick trip up, and your family will thank you. I promise you that. But I do sincerely hope each and every one of you who are listening to this episode today, I hope you have a phenomenal Christmas. I know we're only a couple days away. Hard to believe. Shortest day of the year is actually today. That means we're going to be getting a minute of daylight added every day till golf season is in full effect. But I do wish y'all a Merry Christmas and ultimately a Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas to you. Happy New Year to you. Chasing_birdies. Check it out. Stay tuned for the Chasing Birdies 2-man. Information's going to be releasing on that. And yeah, guys, see you in the new year.
Yeah, we'll see y'all in the new year. And thank you to our team of Rachel London, Jacqueline DiPaterio for your help here in 2023. Evo over at Simpler Media, AliPress, you guys kicking ass. We appreciate you. Thank you for everything. And we will catch y'all in 2.